Hello everyone, my name is Sandy Trefker and this is my first tutorial video as a Country Craft Creations designer featuring the fabulous new paper collection Meadow by Authentique. This is a real fun project. It's easy to make and I'm thrilled to share it with you. I call this a pocket folio and we're going to start off using cardstock from Country Craft Creations, the linen cardstock in the natural color. So let's get started. I purchased a package of the natural linen cardstock from Country Craft Creations. I think you get 25 sheets to a pack, and you will need probably about 12 sheets for this project for the base part. These are the ribbons, the different colors I have to choose from that came in my designer kit. I also purchased these little, the smallest magnetic snaps basic gray from Country Craft Creations online store, and the art glitter glue that dries clear. This is a wonderful glue, and if you like to use glue in your projects, I highly recommend this one. You can also order it from Country Craft Creations. In my designer kit, I got this little set of die cut punch outs for the Meadow collection from Authentique. I also got the 12 by 12 papers. This is a nice collection. You get 2 of each design, so this is what I'm going to use to pattern my project. I also received different colors of the Authentique wood collection. This is a really nice set that you can add to your pattern papers. It comes with dots and stripes and different solid colors, and it's actually called the wood connection. I keep calling it collection instead of connection, but it is the wood connection. And you also get this 12 by 12 sheet of stickers, which works great for decorating. So these are the different colors of the wood connection that I received in my kit that I'm going to be using on my project. I have pre-cut my cardstock, and we're going to start out cutting 3 pieces. All are 9 inches long, and you need one at 7 1/4, one at 5 3/4, and one at 8 inches. And then you need to grab your scoreboard so that we can go ahead and score 2 of the pieces. We're going to set the 8-inch wide by 9 inches tall piece aside. That's going to be the center of our folio, and we're just going to score the 2 other pieces, the 7 1/4 inch wide and the 5 3/4 inch wide pieces. Again, these are all 9 inches long or tall, and I'm going to start off with my 7 1/4 inch piece first, and I'm just simply going to score at 1/2 inch and at 1 inch on one side only. Then take your 5 3/4 inch piece, and on the 5 3/4 inch side, again score at 1/2 inch and 1 inch on one side only. Take your bone folder and fold your score lines and burnish. You will score it so that both lines so that you have a 1/2 inch gusset created with these score lines, and you'll have one for each piece. These actually make the door flaps of your folio. So this is creating the base of the folio where we can add in different elements and pockets and slide ins. So make sure that you burnish it well, and do the same with the other piece. Next, we take the 8-inch piece of cardstock that we previously cut that's 8 inches wide by 9 inches tall, and we're going to line it up with each of the 2 pieces that have these score lines. So take your shortest piece, your 5 3/4 inch one, and you're going to apply glue to just the 1/2 inch on the outer edge. You don't want to put glue on the gusset part. So I just put glue on the hinge part, the first 1/2 inch part of the flap of the folio, and I am lining up the center piece and burnishing it with my cloth so that none of the glue oozes out, and then I'm also going to burnish it real well with a bone folder. And you will repeat this for the other side for your 7 1/4 inch wide flap. And again, you're just going to apply glue to the first half-inch section. Make sure you don't put any in the gusset. You can see that a little bit better here, that I'm just putting it along the half-inch section, the first one. And then I'm lining up that center piece up to the fold line. And make sure you get it on straight at the top and at the bottom. And you don't want it to go over the fold line, so you want to make sure you keep that gusset part, because that's where the thickness for your folio will be. Line it up. Wipe off any excess glue and then burnish the glue line down. And if you need to, reburnish your fold lines for your gusset as well. And this is the base for our folio. For our pockets, we're going to cut 3 each out of cardstock, 5 1/4 inches by 10 inches. I have pre-cut mine, so go ahead and get your scoreboard out after you've cut yours, and we're going to score these on the bottom and 2 sides at a 1/2 inch. So put your 10-inch length in at the top and score 1/2 inch, turn, score 1/2 inch, and turn one more time to score 1/2 inch on the other end. So you will repeat this for all 3 pieces of cardstock to create pockets. Next, on your mat, take your bone folder and fold each of the 3 lines on each pocket piece. Use your bone folder to burnish the lines. And with this linen cardstock, you need to burnish really well to make sure that it lays down flat. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to miter cut each corner on the sides at the bottom. So just do a little angle cut to miter those, and you will repeat this for all 3 pocket sections. I've set the pocket aside, and I need to cut one more piece that is 3 3/4 inches tall by 10 inches wide, and cut it out of cardstock. And on your scoreboard, go ahead and place it into the board with the 3 3/4 inch side at the top and score at a 1/2 inch, turn, score at 1/2 inch on the end, and turn and score on the other 1/2 inch. So this is another pocket. It's a narrow pocket. It's not as tall as the other 3. And do the same thing. You're going to fold and burnish the score lines, miter cut the 2 bottom corners, prepping this to get it ready to put into the folio. Lay your assembled base down so that the widest flap is to your right and the narrow one is to your left. And we're going to put the pocket on the left side first. So I'm applying glue to all of the 1/2 inch hinges that are folded down on the pocket. And you want to position this, you want to position this onto the front of the left flap so that the fold is flush to the cut edge towards the inside. And this will make the pocket open to your left. So you're attaching it to the front flap, open to the left. So I've opened up the folio so that it can lay flat. That makes it a little bit easier to burnish it down. So make sure you line up the fold of the pocket to the cut edge of the flap, and of course line up your sides to the top and bottom, and then burnish that real well to make sure that it sticks down. So this adds a pocket to the front left flap on the outside of the folio. And if you positioned it correctly, the fold of the pocket should be on the right edge of the flap, and the opening would be to the left, where I have slipped my hand in to show you where the opening is. Okay, let's take another large pocket, and we're going to put this one on the right side on the front of the large flap, and this one's going to fit with the fold towards the cut line so that your pocket opens to the right. So again, I'm applying the glue to the 1/2 inch sections that are folded in on the pocket. Now you can use score tape on this if you want to. I find that glue helps me to have a little more wiggle room in positioning my pockets and getting them on straighter. So lift up your flap. Let's open it up so that the flap is laying down flat. Put the fold of the pocket where my left hand is, right along the cut edge of the flap. Make sure you line up the sides of the pocket to the top and the bottom. Burnish those down well. So this creates a pocket for the front of your right flap of your folio, and it should be on the front of it. So again, burnish down really well. And then take a tool or your bone folder and make sure that everything is still open for the pocket. You don't want the glue to be oozing out. So your glue should be on your little 1/2 inch hinges of the pockets, and everything should work just fine for this, because it's really important for us to be able to insert our tags and things that we put into our pockets. Now we're ready to put our last large pocket in, and we're going to open up this right hand flap so that the inside is facing up, and we're going to put this pocket on the inside of the right flap with the fold towards the fold of the inside of the folio, with the opening of the pocket to the right. Again, put your glue on your flaps of your pocket. And take it and touch the fold of the pocket up against the score line, not over the score line, of the wide flap. This is on the inside, so it's already laying down flat. And make sure again to line it up, burnish that, line up your sides of your pocket to the top and the bottom, and then burnish really well. And then check to make sure it's laying flat, and check on the inside to make sure that it's still opened there on the right hand side. So you can see where I'm burnishing this part right here on the top. Need just a little bit more burnishing, but that's where your large pockets are. So we have one on the front, one on the inside of the right wide flap, we have one on the left side. So now we have one more pocket to put in. Open up your folio so that the left flap is to your left, the inside of it, and the last pocket, the narrowest pocket, is going to be glued into this section, the left flap on the inside, and I want you to glue it, the fold of the pocket to the folded edge of the flap. So be sure to leave a 1/2 inch gusset free. You don't want to glue over your score line. So I'm applying the glue again. and turn it so that your fold of the pocket goes towards the inside. So I'll show you just a second here. Get some glue on there really good. So I'm turning it so that the fold goes to the inside and it goes right along the fold line of the gusset area. So line those up, line your sides to the top and the bottom, and burnish really well. So this is a narrow pocket, so you should have spacing of the flap to the left. Once I move my hand, you'll be able to see. It's a little hard to see on this lighter color cardstock, but you see there it is. I'm going to stick the bone folder in to make sure it's open, and we have that space on the left. So this is the inside left flap. Now those little 1/2 inch gussets are going to take a lot of weight with this folio, and so I think it's a really good idea to go ahead and cut a 9-inch, 2 9-inch long strips of the cardstock just under a 1/2 inch. You want it to fit exactly between the two score lines. So I'm applying glue and I'm going to put these on the inside. These will then have a layer of printed cardstock on the inside and also on the outside. So this will give it a little bit more strength. If you feel like it needs it, you might add some to the outside as well. So this is like what I call bone support, where you're adding a little more thickness onto your gusset area where it's going to have to hold the weight of the folio. Just make sure that it still folds correctly once you put these two pieces in. Fold your folio back up. Make sure that it lines up straight. If you need to make any adjustments to any fold lines, so that the flaps line up correctly to each other on the front and underneath. For our first insert or booklet, we need to cut one piece of cardstock 8 7/8 of an inch by 11 1/4 inch. And if you don't have a scoreboard, I'm going to show you how to fold this so that you don't have to have a scoreboard. Just line up your cut edges on the 11 1/4 inch side so that your booklet is 8 7/8 inches tall. And then just fold it, line it up, fold it, press down the fold with your hand, and then take a bone folder or whatever you're using to get your burnished edges to create the booklet. If you do have a scoreboard, then you'll want to put your 11 1/4 inch side in at the top, and you're going to score it in the center, which is 5 5/8. So we score it 5 5/8. And fold it in half. This creates a booklet. So I'm going to write this down to make sure that you make a note of that we're going to score this, not at the 8 7/8, I'm sorry. We're going to score this at 11 1/4 inch side at 5 5/8. So that's where you will score it to get it perfectly in half. Fold your insert in half and then open it up and slip it into the front pocket, the pocket on the top of your widest flap. Now if it doesn't slide in easily, you might need to take it out and trim off just about a 1/16 of an inch or less from the very top edge. So not the width, but the length of it, so that it slides in easier into the pocket. At this point, this is what your folio looks like with one insert in. You open it up, you have a pocket there on the inside. You have the wide section, you have the left pocket on the inside, and then a pocket on the front left flap. Cut another piece of cardstock 3 1/2 inches tall by 9 7/8 of an inch wide. And again, we're going to take out our scoreboard. This is my pre-cut piece, and we're going to score the lines on this one. You're going to do the two sides at 1/2 inch and across the bottom at a 1/2 inch. And do the same on this one. You're going to fold and burnish the score lines and miter cut the corners on the one bottom edge. And I'm just checking to make sure that I've cut my pocket correct and scored it correctly to fit into this fold out that we just made. So I'm just going to fold these ends up and make sure that when I glue this in to my fold out that it will fit in there correctly. So double check yours also to make sure that everything fits correctly. So now I'm going to go ahead and miter those corners. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue this pocket into the inside of this fold out that we made. And I am using the Art Glitter Glue Designer Glue that dries clear, and you can order this glue from countrycraftcreations.com. This is my favorite glue. It dries clear, it doesn't leave a shine, and it dries pretty quickly. You have a few seconds at the most to be able to go ahead and move things around if you need to, which is good, but it does set up really quickly and it doesn't cause any bubbling. When you order it from Country Craft Creations, you get the metal tip, which makes it easier to put down a fine line. So I'm putting this on the inside. You want to make sure that your booklet still folds up with the pocket in it, so pay attention to your placement there. You want the pocket to open to the open side of your booklet or your fold out. So I'm just burnishing my pocket where I've glued it on the ends and across the bottom, and make sure that it's still open, that any excess glue didn't dry on the inside and close it up. So that is an insert that's ready for our folio, for our pocket folio, and this is going to slide in this front right side pocket that we added earlier, and it's just going to slide right in there. This next insert is real simple. We need one piece of cardstock, 8 7/8 of an inch by 7.5 inch. So cut out one out of cardstock. Again, I have mine pre-cut, and we're going to need to score this one. Put this piece into your scoreboard with the 7.5 inch side at the top, and then make a 3-inch score. And then you're just going to fold this and burnish it. And this one will be inserted into the front outside pocket, so the shorter side is showing on the front. Now if you want to make your insert lay down a little bit flatter without using a magnet, put it back into your scoreboard and score at 3 1/8 of an inch. This gives you a little 1/8 inch gusset space, which helps to make it lay down flatter. And so you need to burnish that, both lines, for the fold of that. So it's a little trickier to fold and burnish that little 1/8 of an inch width piece there. So I just take my fingers and keep pressing it and getting the fold going, and then I burnish that. And go ahead and reinsert it into the pocket on the front outside. And as you see, it does lay down a little bit flatter, and I will be tying my folio closed with a ribbon, so that's going to work out fine, but you can use a magnet if you choose. We're going to make another insert. You need to cut another piece of cardstock, just one, at 8 7/8 inches by 8 inches. And again, take your scoreboard and put the 8-inch side into your scoreboard, and you're going to score it 4 inches. This is scoring it in half. So just make sure you're scoring on the 8-inch side at 4 inches so that when you fold it, it will be an equal booklet insert. So I'm just going to burnish that real quick. And this one I will insert into the inside left flap pocket. So I'm opening up the folio and finding that pocket there on the inside. Right there. Let me slide it over so you can see. With the flap completely open, and it slides in right there on the left side. And I'm having to work it a little bit. If you have trouble with it going in, you can trim it down just a little bit with your trimmer. I think it's going to work out okay for me, so I might trim it later, but for now I've left it inside there. So this is how everything folds up. Right now we've got our 1/2 inch gussets on the sides, and it folds up like that with these inserts inside. For the inside of our folio, we're going to create a large acrylic pocket. We need these pieces of cardstock, 2 9 inches by 1 1/2 inch, 1 8 inch by 1 1/2 inch, and 1 8 inch by 2 1/2 inches cut out of cardstock. My pieces are already pre-cut, and now I'm ready to score them. So I'm taking the 1 1/2 inch pieces, put the 1 1/2 inch into the top of your scoreboard and score in half. And that would be at 3/4 of an inch. So score them at 3/4 of an inch, all 3 of the 1 1/2 inch pieces. And then the one remaining piece, you're going to score on the 2 1/2 inch side at a 1/2 inch only. This makes the flap. So next, take your bone folder and you're going to go ahead and burnish your fold lines. And on the flat piece, the one that you just scored, that it was the 2 1/2 inch piece, I am taking my corner rounder, my 1/2 inch corner rounder, and I'm just rounding the bottom large wide area flaps like this. So this will be a flap on the inside of the folio for the acrylic pocket. Take your other pieces and score along the fold lines. These are creating hinges and the frame sections. So the wide one will go on the bottom, the widest one will go on the bottom. I think, let me see. You'll have the two that are the same size, so you'll have your 2 9 inch ones, the longest ones on the side, and your 1 8 inch one across the bottom. I had to look at my notes for just a second to make sure I was telling you correctly. So burnish those really well with this linen cardstock that you can order from Country Craft Creations. It's one of the best cardstocks that you'll want to use for your projects. So you can order from countrycraftcreations.com your cardstock for these projects. You'll want to burnish them really, really well to make sure that they lay down flat. So grab your folio and open it up so that you can see the wide empty section on the center, and I'm just going to lay these out. The flap will go at the top. The 9 inch hinge pieces will go on the left and the right, up underneath the flap. So you may have to trim some of these off. I'm just seeing how it looks now and how the placement is. And then that 8-inch one will go across the bottom. Now for the pocket, we need to cut one piece of clear acetate or transparency sheet, and this needs to be about 8 inches by 9 inches. So it's going to fit right in with those frame pieces that we just burnished. So I'm sorry about the glare. This is all my lights for my video that you see through the acrylic piece, but I've got that laying down on my workspace. And for this, I am going to use score tape instead of glue. So grab your hinges, and you're going to put tape just on 1/2 inch of each of the hinges. So you've got 3 hinges. You've got 2 that are 9 inches long and 1 that is 8 that you've already scored in half. So you're just going to put score tape on one section of each of these hinges that you've created. This is going to attach into the folio and also will hold the acetate that creates the frame. Burnish the tape down with the backing still on. This makes it hold a little better and also makes it easier to peel the backing off. And I'm going to use my Score Pal mat to line these up. Now the sections with the score tape will be on the top side, so I'm going to peel off this bottom one first, and then I'm going to grab my acetate, move these others out of the way. So I'm going to line this up so that it fits right in. It's a little tricky because it wants to stick right down. So I'm lining this up the best I can along the fold line so that the acetate sticks down onto the score tape. So I seem to be all butterfingers right now, but we're going to get this done. I have made them before. So once you get that down straight, just go ahead and burnish that. So that is the front of the frame. The front of the frame is laying down, so it'll come together. You'll understand a little bit more. So then you're going to do the same thing on one side, and you're going to, I'm trying to figure out the best way to line this up. I don't know if this is going to work. We're going to see. No, probably not. Okay, so I'm going to hold it. Let's see. I'm going to stick this acetate, the frame down onto it, and it does peel up pretty good if you get it on Cricut, so don't be afraid. Go ahead and line it up right along the fold line, because you do want that fold line to not be hindered by the acrylic. So okay, I want to burnish that one down, and so that still works. Okay, and now I'm ready for the other side. Just make sure you're attaching the acrylic all to the same side of your hinges. You don't want it on one back side attached to the hinge and the front on the other two sections attached to the front. So make sure you're attaching it all the same. So yeah, I'm going to look at mine and make sure. So I'm lifting this up and I'm going to lay it over it. And it's a little harder for me because I have the video camera between me and what I'm doing, so sometimes it's a little hard for me to see. So hopefully it's easier for you, but I love how these pockets turn out. Now I didn't do it on this one, but you can actually stamp on the acrylic with a favorite stamp that goes with your collection out of a permanent stamp ink that doesn't rub off on the acrylic, and it gives it a whole different look. So it's that's really a lot of fun, but I did not want to do it on this one. So I got that attached, and I do have a little bit sticking out over towards my score line, so I'm just going to snip that off with my scissors It's not a whole lot, and you're not going to see it once it's in the folio, so if you have to trim off some, that's okay. Okay, so I think that'll work. So then you burnish these folds down, and the back side of these folds are what attach into the folio. So that's the pocket. And right there on that one, I have a little bit off where it is showing. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm thinking on how to fix that. But for now, I see that I have a little bit sticking over the edge at the bottom. So I'm just going to take my small scissors and just trim that off to straighten it all up. That looks better. And then where the corners meet, if it is a little crooked and you can still peel up off the acrylic, which I could, I'm just realigning that a little bit to make it a little bit straighter. I determined that the acrylic pocket section was a little bit too long, so I'm trimming off just a little bit off the top edge so that it will fit better under the flap when I install it into the folio. Once you have your acrylic pocket assembled, just lay it inside the section of your folio to make sure that it fits, and then set it aside. We're not going to attach it in just yet, so we're going to set that aside for now. From cardstock, I'm cutting 5 each, 8.5 inch by 5.5 inch. These will be photo mat inserts that we will insert into our pockets, so I've cut 5 of those. And then I also cut 4.5 inch by 6.5 inch mats, and I think I cut, let me count. I think I also cut 5, maybe more. Yes, I cut 7 of those. I might not need them all, but I had enough scraps of paper to cut the 7 4.5 by 6.5 inch photo mats. And that concludes the part 1 of this tutorial, the basic construction of this pocket folio. I will have another video showing you how to pattern the papers and do the decorating on the front and adding different tags and photo mats to your project. So check back in a few days for that. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.